What's happening, tabletop gamers? My name is LeunameGames and welcome back to LeunameGames Unboxes. Today, we're going to be taking a look at Abomination, the Heir of Frankenstein, designed by Dan Blanchett and published by Plaid Hat Games. Let's go ahead and take a look at the back here and see if we can get an idea of what this game is about, shall we? The Gothic strategy game of monster building. Paris, 1819. In secret workshops scattered around the city, stacks of bloodless extremities and human organs feel a nightmarish contest. A creature that should not exist drives a group of amoral scientists to build it, an unspeakable companion. And elsewhere, a grizzled old sea captain clutches the grip of his pistol. He has come to honor his promise made to a dying Victor Frankenstein, and he prays for courage. Taking place after the events in Mary Shelley's classic novel, Abomination, the Heir of Frankenstein is a game of competitive monster creation. Race to construct a viable living being to satisfy the mad obsession of your benefactor. Research the newest scientific findings. Charge your linden jars and scavenge local cemeteries for raw materials needed to perfect your craft. Bribe, steal, exhume, and murder your way to victory, for the creature is always watching, and it does not tolerate failure. I'm a little concerned about how it says you have to murder your way to victory, but if it is what you have to do, then it is what you have to do. So, with all that said, let's have a look and see what does Abomination, the Heir of Frankenstein, have to offer us. Let's go ahead and start this off by having a look at the board itself. So this is the board for the game. It's apparently a map of Paris. You can see it right there, Paris, 1819. And I must say, the artwork is pretty good. I think there's a little bit too much gray here on top of black and a bunch of shades. I wish they added a bit more color, because this looks incredibly gloomy. However, the theme is putting together monsters, so I guess, having, not to mention the time that this takes place in, I guess having this would make sense. They do have a little bit of color here. They have like a little green hedge right there. They do have also like colored in the roof a little bit. There's a little spot of red down there. But most of this is just shades of gray. I do really like, though, that they actually lightened up the different areas that you could go to. The fact that making them a lot lighter than the main city really makes them pop out at you, and it makes them a lot easier to see. The numbers on the score track, however, might be a little bit hard to see. Some of these seem to blend in a little bit. I'm not sure how well you can see that. These are fine, and this is white on top of this grayish thing. But this like light gray on light gray numbers might make it a bit hard to see. So if you're colorblind, you might have some trouble with that. Next, we've got a whole load of body parts here. We've got some, what looks like some legs here. And they're double-sided. They've got some kind of muscle and tendon artwork on the one side. And on the other, it's kind of skin that's sewn together or something like that. I am not quite sure. I do think, though, and I'm very glad to say, that these tiles here are nice and thick. Very thick tiles. You are not going to bend these by accident, which is very nice production. Let's go ahead and get these out of the way now. Next, since we are going to be bribing people in this game, we obviously need money. And that's exactly what we're looking at right now. We've got ones, we've got a few fives, most of these are ones. And I must say, the detail on these coins, unfortunately I can't get the camera to focus to make them appear better for you. I'll try to get a picture of these. But the detail on these things are absolutely superb. I mean, you can see the date here on the bottom here, 1819. You got little flowers on the side and next to the numbers. Very, very nice. We've got some tokens here with some eyes here, as well as some with some lightning bolts. They are both double-sided, which is a nice touch, so you don't have to worry about flipping everything over constantly. They also, both symbols are very easy to see, so that's a very nice touch. We've got 4 tokens here that what look to be some form of ice or something. They are double-sided, and for some reason the back of them has as a lot bigger than the front. I'm assuming that means that the front of these are melted or something like that. We've got what looks like some sheriff's badges. They've got the star of the badge. It has the fruit-o-lee on it, which is a nice touch. I like the fruit-o-lee. He got some pretty good engravings on there. Like I said, I'll get a picture of these to show you. Next, we've got a whole bunch of these little markers here. They come in green, red, purple, and blue, just in case you couldn't see that. And they look pretty nice. They're modeled pretty well. I like how they actually look like people instead of like just generic pawns. That's nice. And for some reason, there's also a pack of smaller ones for some reason. I'm assuming these are going to be like sidekicks or something. At least that's my best guess. There's also 2 that don't really belong to any color. There's this big fat one here, and then this dude, which I'm assuming is a policeman based on his hat, but I could be wrong, but that's what I'm going to guess. We've got the score markers for the players. Nice touch that they put the little skull on it. We've got a few tokens that have Frankenstein himself on there. These are double-sided. It's the same on both sides, so that's nice. Not a lot of repetition here. And, I mean, the artwork for him looks okay. I'm pretty sure that's not what Frankenstein actually looks like, though. Next, we got a whole bunch of tokens of different colors. This is going to be all the materials you're going to get through the game. We've got blood here, we've got some bones, we got muscle, we got organs, and we've got animals for some reason. Not sure what animal has to do with bringing back the dead, but I guess I'll find out when I read the book. Next, we've got some, what looks like some kind of battery or something, because they're like little containers. And they're double-sided. We've got one that's doing nothing, and the other one shooting out some electricity, I'm assuming. A little bit too much electricity to me, because it's now hard to see the battery. And then lastly, in terms of tokens, we've got these, and I'm assuming these are like bonus objectives, because each of these has a little condition that you would have to apply. Like this one, have the most francs at the end, have the first to 10 on the humanity dial, have the first to have 2 alive monster parts, and each of these would seemingly give you 10 points if you were to complete them. The text is very easy to read. You shouldn't have a problem with that. The illustration here, I guess, works. It matches what the victory condition states. And the number on the back, I guess, also works well. That should be pretty easy to see. Next is a couple player aids. They are double-sided with different information on each side. The font is very easy to see. The colors, possibly a little bit hard to tell, but the numbers very easy to see within the colors. I also really like the artwork for the background. It looks like you nailed it onto like a wooden post or something like that. On the other player aid, it's styled more like a little journal or something like that. It's got a key of the different materials. That's how I figured out what they all represented. Some dial icons. I'm assuming that's going to be on the player board, which I'll show in a second. And I do like how they do show the different symbols and what they would do. It would be easier just to like show the symbol and then just like have that in the rule book. I like how they put it on these little sheets here. And then on the other side, these are double-sided, also in the style of a book. He showed basically a little summary of each round, what you do in each phase of it, and there's some spaces on the board with the different icons. So these are going to show you like who all can go there, which is a very nice touch. Next is the player board, and I've only grabbed one of these to show you, which I must say is very flimsy for some reason. Probably to save money on the production, which I guess works. But anyway, these are all the same, just in different colors. They've got spots for you to place each of your things here. They've got 3 dials here. They have actual working dials. You will need to put these together when you get the game. They do go together fairly easily, though. What you need to do is they're are two little buttons on the front and back here. There is the dial itself, and then there's this extra little layer here. What you need to do is you need to put the one with this hole in the top. Not this one. This is flat. This one has a hole on top, so you want to put that on top. Then you want to put the singular disc without the arrow underneath. Underneath that, you put the actual token with the arrow, and then to seal them together, you need to put the one with the flat edge on the back. You will press these together, and you should get a fairly working dial. They do hold their positions well, which is very nice. So you're not going to be at risk is losing in track of these if you like bump it against the table or something like that, which works well. They also have a spot for the different materials here, as well as apparently a spot for dice. Obviously a little table here for body parts. And in terms of artwork, it looks very well. I really like how this looks like an actual laboratory with a little bit of like a library thing up there. So very nice player board overall. We've got 6 characters that you can play as. We got Mary Freeman, we've got Anita Brasini, Presha Chatwal, Tanaka Hikaru, Serenal Graham, I believe that's how you pronounce it, Baptiste Rossio, and then back to Mary Freeman. Each of these seem to have a certain amount of workers that they start with, apparently, as well as a little game starting condition and a special ability. And also on the back of these, apparently, has a little story with each of the characters. That's very nice. I really enjoy that. That's probably going to bring out a good amount of theme into the game. We've got 2 decks of cards here. These are apparently events and encounters that will happen over the course of the game. And I'm assuming when they happen, it's going to create some sort of effect that can limit the players or maybe give a bonus for something. For example, this one says, Slaughterhouse is off limits. Dog catchers at the docks charge 1 extra franc, which is the money in this game. And there is a whole load of events here, and I'm assuming, yes, they are double-sided. That's very nice. And I'm assuming you're not going to use all these events in the game, which is good, because that means there's going to be a lot of replay value there. Same thing here. There is one card here. I'm assuming that's going to be like to cover up this deck here. But similar thing, it's just a whole bunch of events that are happening, and they are double-sided as well. Not sure why they show a couple pictures of Frankenstein and then a normal person, but I'm sure that'll be cleared up once I read the rule book, and then of course Frankenstein card himself, which I'm assuming, like I said, is going to go on top of here. Let's see, how easy is this to read? These are fairly easy to read, at least these encounter ones. I can read these fairly easily. The artwork does not get in the way, which is very good. These, however, let's have a look. Same thing by the looks of it. Yep, this is easy to read here. It is a little hard to read some of these titles, though, with this font. But I guess the title won't be really necessary, unless you draw something in that refers to a specific event that's happening. But other than that, these 2 events and decks are looking good. We've got some dice, which are mostly gray here with white faces, but there are 2 blues with yellow faces, and the sides are very easy to see. You shouldn't have an issue there, and they are very well ingrained, which is amazing, because that means these are going to last a whole lot longer, which is very good. So much better than simply just painting the faces. We've got a bonus spot for 2 or 3 players, and I'm assuming that this is going to be a replacement for one of the spots on the board. There's a spot where I'm assuming the events and the encounters are going to sit. Probably the encounters here, or maybe the events here, something like that. It does have some text here. This is very easy to read. Very proud of that. I'm glad to see that. And there's a story track here, which I am assuming this is going to determine like how long the games last, considering the numbers, which, by the way, are also very easy to see, which is very nice. There's a little bit of text also down here. I think it's easy to see. If you have some vision problems nearsighted, you might have a little bit of trouble with this. But overall, this is very nice, very easy to see, which is good. And lastly, we've got 7 decks of cards belonging to 7 of the locations that you can go to. And I must say right off the bat, I love that they put an illustration of the different buildings on the front of the cards instead of just having them be the titles. It makes it a whole lot easier to figure out where these will go. The text on the front of these is, I think, easy to see. I can see it fairly well. It might be a little hard to see the bottoms here, which will be important at some point. I'm only going to show the text of one of these decks because some of these, I think, have a little bit of story on them, so I don't want to spoil you. But the titles of the cards mostly are easy to see. There's a couple here that you might have a little bit of a hard time reading it. The text on the cards themselves are pretty easy to see. The symbols are pretty easy to see as well. So, well, that's very, very nice. And like I said, the illustration on the front is absolutely superb. Definitely will be a lot of help. So that is everything you will get if you obtain Abomination, the Heir of Frankenstein. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. If you want to learn how to play Abomination, or if you want to know my thoughts on it, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more tutorials, reviews, and unboxings. Thank you all as always so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.